Hello there. My name is Louis Wieland, and for the last 30 years, I have published the official relocation guides on Atlanta that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. There are over 60,000 agents who use the First Multiple Listing Service almost daily and growing. First Multiple Listing Service is expanding into other states in their area and even into Puerto Rico and other countries. The magazines are one's for Atlanta, one's for North Fulton, one's for Cobb, and one for Gwinnett. They are on the First Multiple Listing Service website, and the First Multiple Listing Service puts their name on the cover, and we distribute it with their blessings, obviously. They're all about Atlanta, and tons of information in there about Atlanta. We profile all the counties and schools and communities. The magazine is called Community Profiles, and the website is atlantacommunityprofiles.com. I'm also a commercial realtor with KW Commercial, and my area of focus is land, multifamily, and office. If I can help you with any of your real estate needs, my email is lou@louwieland.com, WIELAND.com. And every week or so, we interview community leaders and community, business, and government leaders. And today, our guest is welcoming back State Senator Brandon Beach. Welcome back to the show, Brandon. It's great to have you, Senator.
Lou, thank you for having me. Thank you for what you do for the real estate industry and the community. Appreciate you.
Well, Brandon has been on the show in the past, and thank you for your service, Senator. You've contributed a great deal to our state and to our community. Brandon is also executive director of the North Fulton CID Community Improvement District, and he has, as a state senator, he is chairman of the very important economic development and tourism committees, and he's also on transportation and other committees. Brandon, is there any, I don't know, maybe, I'm sure there are people out there who maybe do not understand exactly the scope of the kind of work that you do as state senator in your committee chairmanships and committee memberships. Could you help just explain
Lou,
that?
I represent North Fulton, Alpharetta, Milton, and Cherokee County in the Senate. I'm in my 11th year, my 6th term. I chair the Economic Development Committee. I also serve on rules, transportation, finance, appropriations. So I've got some really good committees. And I will tell you, I'm glad I'm on transportation because I think there's a direct correlation between infrastructure investment and economic development and jobs. And so I really enjoy being on both those committees. We are the #1 state to do business 9 years running. We have a $6 billion surplus. That doesn't happen by accident. That's because of good stewardship by the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker, and the General Assembly. We've done a good job managing your money. It's your money. And we're going through the final budget process for the amended budget. We will be voting on that next week. The House has already voted on it. We will be finalizing it next week and then go forward with the big budget, FY24. I will tell you the 4 issues we're really focused on is literacy and education, public safety, and crime. Those are the big ones. We also are focused on freight and logistics, and I'll talk about that a little later. But I want to tell you, the role of government, in my opinion, one of the #1 roles of government is keep its community safe, keep their citizens safe, and keep the community safe. We have had 3 years in a row where the city of Atlanta homicide rate has went up 3 years running. 170 murders last year in the city of Atlanta only. That's not the state, just the city. And we've got to make sure that our capital city is safe, because if it's not, we will not get the convention business. We will not get Super Bowls. We will not get Final Fours. If we get a reputation to where it's not a safe city to come to, we will be in trouble. So what we need to do is really back the blue, come up with some stiffer penalties, make sure these judges aren't letting these criminals right back out on the street. we've got to have some judicial cleanup also, I believe, because that's the complaints I get from the sheriffs and the police chiefs I talk to, is that they're just rearresting the same folks. And we've got to figure that out. So we got to get our hands around the crime and the safety. So that's one of the things. Again, the other thing that's being talked about, another issue, is sports betting and horse racing and gaming. We already have gaming here with the lottery and the COAM machines. So we need to make sure we give the voters a chance to vote on that and pass sports betting and horse racing. And then that issue that I talked to you about, infrastructure, again, we have got to invest in infrastructure. If you look at North Fulton, they're going to finish the 285-400 interchange probably in the next 6 to 8 months. Then they're going to start building 2 new lanes northbound to Forsyth County and 2 new lanes southbound. So you'll have 2 additional lanes, north and south. This is different than what they did on I-75, where they were reversible lanes. In the morning went one way, in the afternoon went another way. There is no reverse commute on Georgia 400. Georgia 400 is an economic engine, and so we need to make sure that we're continuing to do that. And infrastructure, also have MARTA bus rapid transit lanes coming up the middle. So we're investing over $1.5 billion in the Georgia 400 corridor. You know, when I used to give speeches, Lou, and I would say that we really had 3 economic engines in our state. We had the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, the busiest airport in the world, the World Congress Center, 1.6 million square feet of world space, and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which brings, you know, the championships for college football, and it's going to bring the World Cup in 26. Those are big for hotels and restaurants. And then the other economic engine is the Port of Savannah and Port of Brunswick. That thing is growing. That port is growing every year, double digits. And we need to make sure we have the infrastructure for the truck traffic and rail coming out of that port. But I would also now argue one of the 4th economic engines of our state is the 285 Georgia 400 corridor, with all the technology companies, the fintech business. We have unbelievable jobs in that perimeter center all the way up to Forsyth County. And that's a good thing that we have those jobs. So those are the things that we're working on to make sure we are still a very, very job-friendly state. And we want jobs to come here. And we're going to continue to grow.
Well, let's see, Atlanta is the number 8th largest metro area in the country and number 4th in growth of all major cities. Why? How come how did we do that? How did we accomplish that?
When I first moved here from Louisiana 28 years ago, 29 years ago, we were at about 5 million people statewide. Now we're at 11 million people. So we're going to continue to grow. We've got great education, great higher education. And I would say this also, Lou, we have the best technical college system in the United States. Louisiana's tried to replicate it. Several states have tried to replicate it, to no avail. Our technical college system gets kids ready for the workforce, and that's critical. I used to think everybody had to have a 4-year college degree. I've changed my mindset on that and know that there are very good jobs that you can get making $85,000, $95,000 a year with a 18-month certification from one of our technical colleges. You know, I was with the car dealers the other day association. They were telling me these now technicians, they're not mechanics anymore. They're dealing with computer technology on these cars, and they're not grease monkeys anymore. They are doing technology type work on these automobiles. These folks are making 6 figures as automotive technicians. They're not mechanics anymore. They're technicians. And so the days of, you know, getting your hands dirty and so on are somewhat over when it comes to car technology now. So we're going to go ahead and continue to train for those. We've got a shortage of nurses. We got a shortage of truck drivers, but the technical college system is working on that to make sure we fill these jobs.
Brett, Senator, the state of Georgia does $148 billion in imports and $47 billion in exports. What accounts for such a difference, and is there any forecast that you might have for any kind of a change in that, or is that the way it's going to be?
Well, we want to get it 50-50. You want to export and import you want to balance, and we're working on that. I think one of the areas that I think we will start exporting more product is we have made a decision through Governor Kemp that we want to be the electric vehicle capital of the world. We've got Hyundai, Rivian, we've got SK Battery up on I-85. We want to be in the EV electronic vehicle business, and we want to be known for that. And I do think we will start moving a lot of those batteries and those cars and parts all around the world and around the country for sure. And they will be shipping out of Savannah. And I think that will help us get a balance of 50-50. The other area we're going to continue to be very strong in is agriculture, our number one industry. We send a lot of poultry products all over the world. We send a lot of agriculture products. So we want to continue to be number one in ag. And let me tell you a bill that I dropped. It's SB 132. And what it deals with is our farmland. My bill on SB 132, and I'm a property rights guy. I think, Lou, you should have an opportunity to sell your property. I'm all for that. But I don't think we should be selling our farmland to the Chinese Communist government. And that's what's happening. The Chinese Communist government is buying farmland all over our country. And that is a national security issue, in my opinion, that scares me to death that they would control our food supply. The Communist Chinese government does not like us. Let's just be honest. And I do not want them controlling our farmland, our agriculture products. So I've introduced a bill that the Chinese Communist government cannot buy our farmland, and they can also not buy any land in the state of Georgia within 25 miles of one of our military bases. Recently, they bought land right next to a military installation in North Dakota, and they're doing that so they can spy on that military installation, and we can't have that. They don't like us, and we got to make sure we're not allowing that type of thing to happen.
Senator, we had a 21% increase in 22 over 21 in our exports, which is we're going right along with what your goal is. And we had an 11% increase in imports. So it looks like we are making some progress with that goal that you stated.
Yeah, we are, Lou, we are dedicated to making sure we're exporting Georgia products all over the world, and we want to make them accessible, and we want to help get that to a 50-50 match, and we're working on that diligently.
Now, the Port Authority that you mentioned earlier is a significant element in the equation, and give us an update on the Port Authority and their expansion plans and how that's impacting our economy.
Well, they are expanding the port. They're doing major expansion. We're going to have to raise that big bridge, the Talmadge Bridge, so that larger ships can get underneath it. That's about a $250 million project. We're going to do that. We also have spent, in the last 5 years, a lot of money on the Jimmy Mason rail yard. And that is so that they can take containers right off the ship and put them right on the rail, not having to put them on a truck, then to truck them over to the rail yard. And that will be good, and it'll help get more product on rail in a more expeditious way. So, and let me say why it's important. Right now, about 17% of the product coming out of the port is on rail. We would like to get that to 35%. Let me tell you why that's important, Lou. Every time you have a rail car, you take 4 tractor trailer trucks off the road. And we have a lot of trucks on 285, 75, 85, I-16. We've got to make sure we get as much product on rail as we can. And we're talking about now with the Jimmy Mason rail yard investment that we've made. Right now, a train coming out of the port is right at about a mile long. We will be able to build 3-mile-long trains. That's good to get product out of that port and get it out to other states on rail. Now, the problem we're going to have is we've got to make sure we got railroad crossings in some of these smaller cities, or people are going to be waiting 30 minutes to get across the railroad tracks. So we're going to have to invest in bridges or tunnels and some great separations on these smaller cities in Georgia, or they're going to be not very happy if they got to wait for a train to go by for 30 minutes, 3 mile long. So we got to do that. But so there's always, whenever you solve one problem, you come up with another problem. But we're looking at a freight and logistics plan, and we've got the plan. GDOT's done a heck of a job planning for freight and logistics, looking at truck lanes, looking at expanding rail, and doing the things we need to do to move products from the port to your doorstep. I always joke with my wife. She thinks that Amazon package just appears every day when she orders from Amazon. She doesn't realize it goes from the port to a train or a truck, then to a distribution center, and then gets picked and then comes to our doorstep in an Amazon or UPS truck. So we've got to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place, because we want to continue to let that port grow at double digits every year. The problem is, again, we've got the plan, but you got to pay for it. It all comes down to funding, and it's about a $3.5 billion plan to implement right out of the gate. And we've got to figure out how we're going to fund that. Now, Senator Greg Dolezal, who's chairman of transportation out of Forsyth County, he's working on a plan right now with the DOT commissioner and the governor's office to figure out how we're going to fund this and move forward on a true infrastructure investment. Again, even if we start working on this plan now, it'll take 6 to 8 years to build out this, because roads take a while to build. You've got to go through the engineering, the design, the right environmental. You got to acquire the right of way, and then you put a shovel in the dirt and build the project. So we've got to get moving on this now, because that port, they're talking about Savannah in the next 10 years will double in size. Their industrial space is right now at about 100 million square feet. They're saying it'll go to 200 million square feet in less than 10 years. That is unbelievable, unprecedented growth. It's a good thing. It's good jobs, good thing. But the other issue that brings in Savannah is we have a workforce housing issue. We don't have enough houses down there for people to, they're moving in so fast. We've got a housing shortage in Savannah, and we've got to look at workforce housing down there.
So, Senator, what about Route 16? Isn't it that the road that comes from Savannah on up through Macon?
We have put a lot of money in I-16 and expansion, number one. Also done a lot at I-16 and 95 and I-16 and 75 in Macon. We have made those are both under construction now and should be done in the next, hopefully, year and a half. And that will really alleviate a lot of bottlenecks coming through Macon, which is a good thing.
I was at a Commercial Board of Realtors meeting recently where research showed that Macon was one of the major cities throughout the entire world poised for growth. What is your paradigm on that?
I agree. It's right in the middle of our state. It's got interstates running through Macon. It's got great education, Mercer, and some good education. It's got a lot of land. It's got good water resources. It's potential for really big things to happen. I think one of the other areas that I think we are poised to really grow in our state, and we're not doing as good a job, even though we're the number one airport in the world in passengers, we don't do a lot on air cargo. And I think Macon and Savannah have a great opportunity to do air cargo, air freight, and that is a big business. You know, you go to Louisville and you see those UPS planes just taking off every couple minutes. Same in Memphis with the FedEx planes. And we've got an opportunity, I think, in two industries to do air freight. The pharmaceutical industry, a lot of those products have to be shipped overnight and have to be at a certain temperature. That's an area. And then also the auto parts business. A lot of auto parts need to be somewhere the next day. So I think we've got an opportunity to really do air freight out of Macon and air freight out of Savannah with those two airports. And it's just going to take some investment. We don't invest a lot in our airports, but we need to do more of that. We've upped it. When I first was chairman of transportation, we did about $12 million a year. Now we're doing right at $37 million a year. So we're increasing it, but the needs are far outweighing the appropriations that we're appropriating for our airports. We have 106 airports throughout our state, and a lot of them need work on their runways and widening of runways. And the other issue we have here in the metro area, we have a shortage of hangar space. And these corporations that move here that have their own private jets, they want hangar space, and we've got to figure that out. We're working with Charlie Brown and PDK to see if we can get more hangar space.
Well, I recently saw some research on the hotel industry in the state of Georgia, and the forecast was extremely optimistic that the hotel industry will flourish in 2023. Can you help us understand that? Because we seem to be heading into a little bit of a recession, but that doesn't seem to affect the hotel and motel industry.
Well, I can tell you right now, Lou, if you try and go get a hotel room in Alpharetta, Georgia, my district, on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, it's tough to get. The business community is traveling again. They're making trips. They're going to see their clients, and hotel rooms. Now, these are limited access hotel rooms, but there are a couple full service, the Hotel Avalon, the Marriott, and the Hilton now in Alpharetta, and they are booming. So I think the hotel business is back. The convention business is back. I serve on the World Congress Center Oversight Committee, and we just had a convention with 40,000 people in town. And so the convention business is back. We're building a hotel right between the World Congress Center and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's going to be very, very good hotel to have it right there on that campus. So I think we got great opportunities, and I chair economic development. It's also economic development and tourism, and tourism's big business. And we can continue to fill up hotels and restaurants here in Atlanta through conventions and through big sporting events.
Andrew Young is one of our esteemed citizens, and he was on my show a while back and talked about the element of diversity and inclusion as being one of the primary engines driving our success as a state and as a city. How would you comment on his observation? He actually wrote a book on that about how well we're doing. What is your paradigm on inclusion and diversity?
Well, you broke up, and I didn't hear the first part of the question. Who was that?
Young, Ambassador Andrew Young was on the show and said he wrote a book on that and talked about that as the main driving engine is our great progress and status with diversity and inclusion. Have you noticed how much more
first off,
progress?
You got to interview an icon. I've met Ambassador Young. What a great man he is, and what he's done for our city, our region, our state, and really our country. He's been a great, great public servant. He's actually from New Orleans, where I'm from, so we've got that in common. I think the world of Ambassador Young, and he's right. We have a very diverse community. We are very inclusive. We want everybody to feel like they have the opportunity to succeed, and we give them every opportunity we can. Doesn't matter who you are or what where you come from, you have the opportunity to do well, and we're very inclusive, and diversity is a big part of our success here. People feel welcome, and that goes back to the 1960s, and when Ambassador Young worked on that, and with Martin Luther King Jr. So we are blessed to have the reputation of a city too busy to hate, and come to Georgia. We want you to come here. We want you to be successful. We want you to grow a business and have a great quality of life. And we're going to continue to have that.
Well, I know I've only asked for 30 minutes and I've used up your time. I know you're busy, but you mentioned agriculture was our biggest.
No, that's all right.
Our biggest industry, but aerospace is also a very large industry for us. And I would ask you to also comment, if you would, please, on electric transportation and that growing industry for Georgia.
Well, let me tell you, the aerospace industry is important to us. And when you look at Georgia Tech and all they're doing for NASA and all the aerospace companies and the research they're doing for aerospace, it is a big, big industry for us. And you got to give Georgia Tech a lot of credit. They've got a great program over there, and all the major aerospace companies come here and recruit our students. And we need to make sure we're doing as much as we can to invest in the aerospace industry. I tell you, the other industry that we're investing in right around Georgia Tech is the biosciences. And right now, most of the bioscience jobs are in Boston and out in California. We are going to be a player. We're building wet labs. We're building biospace labs, bioscience labs, not biospace, bioscience. We want to be a player in all of the cutting edge bioscience technology that's coming out around Alzheimer's, dementia, and any kind of medical issues and cancers. We want to make sure we're at the forefront of those conversations and of that research.
We would need to talk about Rivian in any conversation about economic development in electric vehicles. What is the status on that industry at this stage?
Well, I mean, like I said, our Governor Kemp is it's top priority is for us to be the number one state in the world number one player in the world to be in the electric vehicle business, whether it's Hyundai, Rivian, Kia, and SK Battery. We want to build the batteries here also, which we are doing. If you go up I-85 and you look at that SK battery plant, it's amazing how long that thing, it just goes on and on and on, and it produces batteries and it produces a lot of jobs. So we want to be the number one business in the EV business, and we're doing that. And we're putting all the infrastructure in place to do it with the Rivian plant, the Hyundai plant, and then we have Kia over there at West Point. So, and then with SK Battery, we also are working, Senator Gooch is working on a bill to look at putting electric charging stations throughout the state so that you can charge your car at a Quick Trip or at a Cracker Barrel, and you don't have to wait. But they've got these super fast chargers that can charge your car in 15 minutes so you can go from point A to point B. It used to be you were scared to take the electric car too far because you only had a 250-mile charge. But when we set this infrastructure up through the state, you're going to be able to drive to Savannah in your electric vehicle and feel very comfortable that you can recharge it on the way there. So we're working on that. I got to give Senator Steve Gooch a lot of credit on his hard work on the EV, market.
Thank you very much for your service, Senator, and for your time today. And I'm not going to put you on the spot right now, but I am going to send you an email asking you to write a short article in the next issue, just kind of paraphrasing what you said today on the show, and so people can get a feel for it in print and think about it.
I'd be more than happy to do it. Thank you for having me on your show. And again, thank you for all you do for our community. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Senator. It's a privilege to have you as a friend and all you do. And so thank you for listening, and have a nice day.